Uhuru, brothers and sisters. My name is Alex Morley. Welcome to Beyond the Boundaries, the show where we bring you news from the African nation and news from the international socialist movement. Today is October 13, 2019. Brothers and sisters, Uhuru. Brothers and sisters, I'm the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, and I head up the front for the African Socialist International for the Caribbean and the South American region. So I just want to say also Uhuru to all of the my brothers and sisters out there from the African People's Socialist Party. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, I just be moving so fast, trying to get everything within a certain time. So sometimes I forget to say one or two things. But brothers and sisters, the first report is from the Africans United Coalition. Just a brief update on the Take It to the People campaign. You know, the Africans United Coalition is an association of the African-centered organizations in the Bahamas, the EABIC, the Nyabingi, the Coptic Church of the Black Messiah, the African People's Socialist Party, and other organizations and individuals. Brothers and sisters, we recently launched a Take It to the People campaign where we were trying to bring relief, recreation, and provide a space for people to be able to assist persons. We wanted to bring that campaign to the shelters. We had the first one on the first event last week at the Calvary Baptist Church on the in Centerville off Collins Avenue, where we had a community movie night where we showed the movie I Love You Anne. I Love You Anne, which was is a comedy, a romance slash comedy. It was a good turnout, brothers and sisters. I spoke about that last week. Uh, but the recent update is that the other shelters, brothers and sisters, this week persons were moved from those other shelters to one shelter, and I think now those persons are now at the National Gymnasium. So we will have to the Africans United Coalition will have to adjust its plans to deal with this recent update. But brothers and sisters, I want you to stay tuned for that. We had planned to do a community art show and a community concert and a community sports day. So, brothers and sisters, yeah, just stay in tune for the work that Africans United Coalition is doing and the work that all of the other organizations are doing as well. Uh, just one thing I want to say about the movie night that my general impression, it was the first time that I had ever watched the movie I Love You Anne. That's the movie last week. And I think there are two periods that I think that African people, we as African people, will uh, will grow strong, will grow stronger, will make us more stronger if we learn more about those two periods are how African people, the life, the economy, and the culture of African people before the coming of the Europeans, which was between economic stage between communalism and feudalism, how that life was, and the Europeans were in feudalism, and how that life was, and the time 1804 for Haiti. So one period, Africans before the coming of the Europeans and how Europeans were, but the 1804 for Haiti and afterwards, the entire Haitian people struggle. I think we have to learn more about that as African people worldwide. Uh, just from that movie, you know that it was just a simple romance comedy. Boy meets girl. The protagonist, the antagonist outside of the relationship. He wants the girl, trying to take the girl from the boy, but you just get a sense that Africans from Haiti are a deep intellectual people. That's what I wanted to say. And I think that we need to study that period of the Haitian Revolution and that period after 1804. That whole 18s uh, is uh, is a period of Africans building a nation in the modern world and what that nation would be. You know, for the African People's Socialist Party, our work is the culmination of that nation. With the Haitian Revolution was building a nation where all African people are equal and all our people are equal. And what we are building, and we feel as if we are trying to bring that, elevating that and bringing that to its climax, the African nation. But brothers and sisters, that period, I think that period that when Robert Love in when he went to Haiti, Dr. Robert Love, he inspired Marcus Garvey. But who inspired Dr. Robert Love? Toussaint. Toussaint inspired Dr. Robert Love. There was a period in Caribbean and West Indian history where Africans wanted to go and work in Haiti because Haiti was the beam of hope. But as I say that, brothers and sisters, the economic embargoes that Cuba is facing, that Iran is facing, that Venezuela is facing, Haiti would have been in this modern world. Haiti would have been the country that would face these things first, and having to be put in a position where they're forced to repay France for enslaving Africans, for losing they're no longer having the ability to sell Africans. They would have received compensation for that, reparation. So I really think that we as a people, Africans worldwide, need to study that history of Haiti's nation building because I think it would make us stronger as a people in the end of the day. And over that period, you had Alexander Dumas and and the Three Musketeers and the Count of Monte Cristo. So yeah, I think it would make us stronger if we study African Haitian history in its global context more. But brothers and sisters, that's what I want to say about the Africans United Coalition. Just a brief update about that. Let me just get straight into reports this week, brothers and sisters. There's a report from Black Agenda report. It's called Shooting at Haitian Parliament Surprises Few as Anti-Government Protest Continues. It's by Jane Reagan. It's on blackagendareport.com. The country has been in a state of almost constant upheaval or more accurately, uprising for over a year. An Associated Press photographer and a security guard were both injured when a Haitian senator pulled out a gun and started firing outside the parliament last week. Suddenly, news outlets around the world remembered Haiti. The "if it bleeds, it leads" adage was proven once again. But the Haitian people have been bleeding for years now. The shooting was just one more incident in a crisis that arguably began long before President Moïse took office in February 2017. The only notable difference on September 23rd was that the victim worked for a foreign news agency. Haitian journalists, demonstrators, and bystanders have been shot, beaten, and arrested in the capital during the 14 months of on again, off again anti-government protests that have wrecked the country. But in August, a 3-week gasoline shortage caused because the government, which purchases gas on behalf of distributors, owes suppliers 100 million, led to outrage. Since September 16, the capital of Port-au-Prince has been mostly locked down. In Creole, the saying is "loc," with schools, banks, and businesses mostly closed. Cars, trucks, and motorcycle taxis seeking gas blocked roads. Angry crowds pelted drivers with rocks, and protesters blocked streets with burning tires or some of the tons of uncollected garbage lining most of the city streets. Alta Press reported that at least 5 people, including a young man shot in the neck by police officers, were killed in protest-related incidents during the first 3 days of that week alone. Some gas has been delivered, but protests have continued, with attacks on politicians and ministers almost commonplace. The senator who shot up the yard outside Parliament, Jean-Marie Ralph Fetier, claimed he pulled out his pistol because he was being rushed by opposition protesters. Since then, angry crowds have allegedly torched the clinic of another senator and carjacked a government vehicle as she left a swank hotel in the hills above the Capitol. And last week, hundreds of protesters sacked the office of the deputy representing the port city of St. Mark, denouncing the country's 19% inflation and generalized corruption, as well as demanding the president step down. They dragged furniture, a file cabinet, and papers into the street and torched them. The country has been in a state of almost constant upheaval, or more accurately, uprising, for over a year. Starting in July 2018, thousands have reportedly marched in the capital and many smaller cities to demand the president step down. Originally sparked by the government's announcement that it was going to cease subsidizing gas and diesel and thus add to the already crushing poverty, angry marchers soon also focus on a massive corruption scandal involving members of the previous and current government, including the president. Journalists, human rights groups, and a state auditing body have all issued hundreds of pages of reports documenting how up to $2 billion from the Venezuelan fuel assistance program PetroCaribe has been diverted into politicians' pockets. Fed up with the corruption, in the summer of 2018, first one activist, and then hundreds, and then thousands began to protest, hold press conferences, and organize against the government as part of what has become known as the Petro Challenger movement. Listening to news radio in the capital, it appears that PetroCaribe money is not the only illicit cash circulating among parliamentarians, at least. Every day on the air, elected officials sling accusations of kickbacks and graft at one another. More recently, several senators even admitted to taking $100,000 bribes in exchange for a yes vote to approve the president's proposed prime minister, Fritz William Michel, who is also among the accused. Last week, a coalition of human rights groups published a list of Michel's agriculture and fisheries projects and claimed he was at the head of a corruption machine. If I can just go on just a little bit further, brothers and sisters. It speaks about Jane Reagan. She's quoting from a human rights activist in Haiti, a Miss Mary Yulene Jalise. And she says here, this is the first time I've seen a president successfully cling to power like this. She said, even though people are dying, people are disappearing, people are suffering. Like many Haitians, she blames the United States, which has been implicated in Haitian politics and in propping up or helping bring down governments in Port-au-Prince since the 19-year occupation by U.S. Marines beginning in 1915. All of the state institutions are sick. Last January, at the Organization of American States, Haiti voted with the U.S. against its longtime former benefactor, Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. The resolution said the body did not recognize the Maduro government. Nicolas Maduro. The resolution said the body did not recognize the Maduro government, noting it was concerned about the worsening political, economic, social, and humanitarian crisis and the breakdown of democratic order and serious human rights violations. It was part of a gambit to legitimize opposition leader Juan Guaido's claim to power. The vote was a quid pro quo, according to Jalise. The U.S. is supporting Moïse because of the vote against Venezuela, Jalise noted. Whether or not the vote is a main reason, it is clear to any Haiti observer that Moise, who came to power in races where only 21% of the population even bothered voting, has remained in office only because of the support of the Washington, only because of the support of Washington and its partners. Brothers and sisters, because of time, I can't read the entire story, but go on Black Agenda report, check out Jane Reagan's report on Haiti and the struggle that's going on in Haiti. We're just trying to keep brothers and sisters informed about the struggle with African people all around the world, so that we could always put them in the proper historical and present economic context, so we could properly understand what how imperialism is the relationship between imperialism and African people all around the world, and how that is being played out. But go on Black Agenda Report, brothers and sisters, and check out Jane Reagan's story on Haiti. Brothers and sisters, another story here is from counterpunch.org. Counterpunch.org. And check out on counterpunch.org, check out Inequality is Killing Us. Inequality is Killing Us. That's a report by Sam Pizzigatti. It's basically a report about how inequality, a recent survey has come out showing that inequality is on the rise, in this capitalist system in the U.S. in particular, which leads the way in this capitalist machine. But check out Sam Pizzigatti's report on Inequality is Killing Us. Brothers and sisters, from counterpunch.org. Also from counterpunch.org, check out the new workers' revolution is afoot. The New Workers' Revolution is afoot by Julian Vigo. And it says last year, TechCrunch ran a piece postulating what if Google unionized after 20,000 Google workers walked out of their offices in protest of how the tech giant has handled harassment and discrimination cases in recent years. Google's response to this walkout and internal protests related to the layoff of 34 contract programmers was to address some of the problems raised. For instance, earlier this year, Google said that companies which contract out its internal jobs must offer all temp workers paid sick days, paid parental leave, comprehensive health care, and tuition reimbursement. Google also claimed that contracting companies would have to pay these workers a minimum of $15 an hour. Still, since August of this year, there has been much speculation over Google employees in Pittsburgh unionizing. Since this summer, about 66% of the eligible contractors at HCL America Inc., an Indian outsourcing firm at Google's Bakery Square offices, sought union representation, according to the United Steelworkers. With the assistance of the Pittsburgh Association of Technical Professionals, these Google employees are asking National Labor Relations Board, are asking the National Relations Labor Board for the right to vote for union representation. The PATP is a project sponsored by the United Steelworkers Union with the aim of helping Pittsburgh and southern western Pennsylvania workers in high-tech fields organize and bargain collectively with their employers for improved working conditions and standards of living. While some are claiming this is the norm for Google's shadow workforce, the masses of temporary workers and contractors that outnumber Google's full-time workforce, about 54% of Google's entire staff, this action raises flags to what are the clear class divisions of salary and labor rights within Google's ever-expanding workforce. While Google's shadow labor force mostly works alongside full-time Google employees, These temporary workers are generally employed by third party contractors. They earn less money and have no paid vacation. These differences are not minor in a world where money and more gig economy workers such as Uber and Lyft drivers who have stood by Google workers faced similar battles in attempting to unionize both in the UK and the US. Basically, there's a rise of consciousness among temporary and gig economy workers who are viewing their role in a company's enrichment as causing them great financial stress and personal instability while observing their colleagues who had the luck of snagging full time contracts attain the rights that the majority of workers would also like to enjoy, from healthcare to sick leave to perks such as paid travel to include general authorization and hotels. Brothers and sisters, I would ask people to go on counterpunch.org and check out this story. The new workers' revolution is afoot by Julian Vigo. What really came at me about the story was the fact that we always the internet, social media, and this internet is becoming to play a serious role in our lives and our technology. This platform, but we can't forget that there are actually workers, people who are behind these machines, who are behind these technology. Labor actually created these machines, and labor actually is still behind the administration and application of this technology. So we just want to validate labor. And I also thought that this was technology is supposed to be bringing economic security to the life of people, but you see how technology is kind of breaking up workers, segmenting workers, where some workers get the benefit of full-time jobs, and some workers have a precarious kind of a job, employment existence. But again, technology is supposed to bring greater economic security, not less. So those are the two things that I wanted to just came out at me with this workers and technology story. But check out the new workers revolution is afoot on counterpunch.org by Julian Vigo. One mother story, brothers and sisters. Time is running up on me. And from the laborstar.org, thank you, UK workers, for standing in solidarity with Palestine by Mark Sawatka. By Mark Sawatka. Thank you, UK workers, for standing in solidarity with Palestine. It says, while the whole of the Palestinian population is living in restricted and dangerous circumstances, and this is from laborstar.org, brothers and sisters, while the whole of the Palestinian population is living in restricted and dangerous circumstances in the occupied West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem, it is the workers who bear the brunt of Israel's constant assault on their lives and basic freedoms, from denial of their rights to movement enforced by checkpoints and the apartheid wall to the direct violence experienced by health workers in the borders of Gaza. Palestinian workers also suffer from the crippling unemployment caused by the military occupation implemented by the Israeli state. As trade unionists, we must stand up for the collective rights of the Palestinian people in the spirit of internationalism that defines our movement. We believe in fundamental rights, justice, and equality for all, from factories and workplaces in the UK to the fields and hospitals in Palestine. Brothers and sisters, I would ask persons to go on Labor Start and check out this story. Thank you, UK workers, for standing up in solidarity with Palestine by Mark Sawatka. It's a good story. Freedom for Palestine. We can never forget that struggle. What Zionism is, and how Zionism is part of this capitalist machine. And both of those things, philosophies, have to be destroyed and have to come to an end. But brothers and sisters, we stand up. Africa is in solidarity. The African Liberation Movement is in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle. But ask persons to go on laborstar.org and check out Mark's story. Thank you, UK workers, for standing in solidarity with Palestine. Brothers and sisters, I would say from the art and culture world, there was uh, there was a crown, a hidden crown from the art world. There was a hidden crown that was an Ethiopian. It would have been made in the 18th century. A hidden crown, hidden for 20. It's been hidden for years, and it's set to return home to Ethiopia. And apparently, this crown was created in the 18th century, and it supposedly was created by a warlord who was a part of the Ethiopian feudal structure. Uh, I think, brothers and sisters, I wish I had a picture of this crown, but just go online and put in hidden for 21 years, Ethiopia crown set to return home. So put that in, and you should see this crown that's set to returning home to government. But I would say in the last 10 years, there's been various things, artifacts that have persons have been a struggle. Well, let me first say, struggles tend to go down behind these things, and then they are returned home. So this is one of them, and I think that if you see this crown made in the 17th century, uh, it's a clear example of that period before the coming of the Europeans. African people were in the economic stage. We were between communalism and feudalism. But you can tell from the art, the clothes, the tools that Africans would have had and produced. You could be able to measure the quality, the standards of life at that period of time. Brothers and sisters, if you take a look at this crown, you could see that Ethiopia, the kingdom, the feudal kingdom of Ethiopia, um, at its highest, probably was just as great as any feudal kingdom in Europe at its highest, and that feudalism at its highest at that economic stage wasn't only in the north of Africa. It was in places, the Congo, in Songhai, in Ghana, in West Africa too. But that stage, that development of economic development, stage of development of Africans, where Europeans met us. They met us at uh, a high stage, a high development stage. Not high, but at a development stage that were in somewhat comparison, somewhat. Brothers and sisters, so that's from the art world. In the sports world, I want to say to brother Errol Spence. I saw Quincy the Triller Minute Pratt this week, and me and him was talking about Errol Spence and Sean Porter. People who could remember Quincy Pratt, Quincy Triller Minute Pratt and Ray Minus. I remember them fights when I was young, and me and him was talking with the fact he was going with Porter, and I was telling him that I was going with Spence, but he was the one who came up to me and was telling me that Errol Spence was involved in a car crash. So I just want to see, I hope to his family. I hope everything. I hope he gets well. We wish him the best. The whole African nation, the whole world wishes him the best. The socialist movement, brothers and sisters. One thing I could say about the sports thing, about the remark by the Houston owner, I would say, we want one China. We want one China. That's what we want. And I think the democracy can be built within one China, you know, and yeah, we could talk about that another time, you know, the importance of Chairman Mao and he was the Garveyite for China, keeping China together. You know, the imperialists wanted to separate China, break up China, because you know China is that's a lot of different peoples, a lot of different languages. You know, but Mao, inspired by Garveyism, was able to use nationalism and socialism to unite millions, hundreds of millions of peasants, you know, and I think that that unifying all of those peasants, those people, I think that's a good development for the world in terms of centralizing the world and bringing peoples together. One China is good, and just like how one Africa is good, you know, is what we want, you know. So one China is good, and I think that democracy can resist in a one China. So that's what we want. We want one China, and we want democracy, but we fighting for one Africa. You know, so maybe it is that Africa need to settle this whole thing, but we want one China, one China. But democracy, but one China. You can't let imperialist forces come into your country and try to tear up your country. No, we want one China, but democracy in a one China. But brothers and sisters, that from the sports world, community announcements. One community announcement, brothers and sisters. The Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparation is holding a march on Washington on November 2nd and 3rd. From Chairman Omali Yashitilla says now is the time to throw off all hesitation, open up new fronts of struggle, and to launch every protest, demonstration, and anti-imperialist action from the ballot box to the barricades as an act to deepen the crisis of imperialism. So, brothers and sisters, the Black is Black Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparation is marching on Washington November 2nd and 3rd. And the African People's Socialist Party from the Bahamas, we could be there in Washington on November 2nd and 3rd. So watch out for that. That's the Black is Black Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparation. Brothers and sisters, this is Alex Morley from Beyond the Boundaries. Uhuru, I can be here next week, brothers and sisters. Uhuru, and Free Mumia Abu Jamal. Uhuru, brothers and sisters. Uhuru, one Africa, one nation. Uhuru.